Good morning, everyone, and happy Thursday. It's time to get up and tune into your daily BossFM morning news. I'm Megan, and today we have stories on makeup, mail voting, museums, and so much more. So let's get into it.
Wake the streets up. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Wake the streets up. Okay. Come on. Okay. Wake the streets up. Yeah. Come on. Wake the streets up. Yeah. Okay.
Inclusive makeup brand is celebrating their 4-year anniversary. Mented Makeup is one of the few Black woman-owned startups. This year, they hosted a Celebrating Black Women event with Instagram Live and Zoom events throughout January. Now, Mented is being sold in Targets nationwide. KJ Miller, the CEO of the company, has always had a focus on diversity. Their mission is, quote, to make sure that every person can find themselves in the world of beauty, end quote. The brand has plans to further expand for 2021. There is an emphasis on their lipsticks in the articles that I read for this week. Their lipsticks are supposed to be for all different shades so that they can match with anyone, and so I'd really like to try those out as well. Next up, Kristian has a story about a new bill being introduced to the Georgia Senate.
Republicans in Georgia State Senate are moving quickly to limit who can vote and how after Democrats won the 2020 presidential election and 2 U.S. Senate runoffs. Many of the proposals target absentee voting by mail after relentless false claims by former President Donald Trump and his allies. The bills introduced on Monday would restrict who can vote by absentee mail, requiring a photo ID for those who do vote by mail, banning ballot drop-off boxes, and blocking outside groups from sending out absentee ballot applications. Other proposals would end automatic voter registration when obtaining driver licenses. Democrats say the GOP's bills are unnecessary, politically motivated, and will suppress legal votes. Senator Nikki Merrick, a Democrat from Grayson, Georgia, called them a slate of voter suppression bills, continuing, quote, I see a desperate attempt by a party clinging to a waning power, so out of touch and too lazy to pivot messaging to speak to a broader audience. While some of the proposals seem likely to pass in some form, others could face headwinds, even among fellow Republicans. House Speaker David Ralston said in January that he was not convinced of a need to end no-excuse absentee voting.
The practices that are in place for voting registration and absentee voting are important, and to restrict them just because Democrats won is absolutely ridiculous. I really hope that other Republicans see this too and start blocking these bills from passing, because honestly, it's just going to make voting harder for the groups that have been struggling with voter suppression in the past. Nashville is opening the National Museum of African American Music. A museum spokeswoman said, quote, we're really taking a look at what was the impact on African Americans once they entered the country, and how did that birth what we know as Black music, end quote. Each gallery in the museum is named after a song by a Black artist. For example, Wade in the Water shows how religion from the past affected the gospel era. There are over 1,500 artifacts and memorabilia on display. It's open now, and once the vaccine is more readily available, I would love to go. There are so many museums in Nashville about country music and the history of country music. It's important that we have a museum about Black music as well. So many Black artists and Black music have inspired music today and from the past couple of years. Next up, Kristian has some information about the Defense Secretary's new plan. Kristian?
As of Monday, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd has demanded the resignation of and removed hundreds of Pentagon advisors, ultimately clearing out the remaining Trump appointees. The members will be removed effective February 16th by termination or voluntary resignation. A total of at least 42 committees will be reviewed, accompanied by recommended changes no later than June 1st. Austin made history as the first Black Pentagon chief in the nation's history and was officially sworn in after President Joe Biden's nomination for him in January 22nd. He announced in a tweet, quote, it's an honor and a privilege to serve as the country's 28th Secretary of Defense, and I'm especially proud to be the first African American to hold the position. Let's get to work, end quote. With the forthcoming weeks, Austin will be naming and appointing members to his boards. This is Kristian Calhoun, BossFM News.
This is a much-needed change. So many of the people who worked for the Trump administration were part of the many awful things that he did, and I feel like we need to definitely get rid of them and get new people. They were complacent in a system that let so many bad things happen, and I'm really proud of the new defense secretary for going in and clearing them all out as his first thing that he's doing. Plus, as we've been saying all week on this show, representation is super important, and so seeing a black man in this role is very exciting for us and for the black youth as well. It's February, so it's on to our Black History Month segment. The practice of celebrating Black History Month originated in America, although other countries have adopted the holiday and started celebrating it as well. In Canada, they celebrate in the month of February, just like we do, while in other countries like the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, and Ireland, they celebrate in October. All right, everybody, that is it for your Thursday morning news. Make sure to tune in later today at 8:30 p.m. for more news with Boss FM. If you'd like to rewatch our shows, as always, they will be available for replay on our Boss FM app and on all our social media platforms. Thanks again for tuning in, everyone. It's Megan. Have a great rest of your week.